There's another pandemic here in South Africa that is coming after small businesses, and that is the rental rates at malls. The rental rates at malls are very high. And I think small businesses, most of the small businesses at malls are working for the rent, from my experience. I mean, fortunately for me, I speak as someone who's been on both sides. I've invested in a business in the retail space, so I've had first-hand experience of paying rent at a mall and so on and so on. And I've also had experience as an accountant working with a business that is businesses that are situated at malls. Hi man, the rental rates at malls are high, man. The square meter, the rental rate per square meter is quite expensive. And I think most small businesses fall into the trap of wanting to rush into those decisions of getting into a mall and without necessarily considering that escalation rate. And I think many malls do this thing of when you are coming into the mall, they'll offer you a 3-year contract and then there are annual escalations. I just think that many small businesses, at least in my experience, they don't necessarily consider that amount. They don't consider it, properly. There's not enough consideration as to whether they can really afford that rent in that particular mall. And obviously, the fancier the mall, the more expensive that rental rate will be. So in my own view and in my own experience, some of the things that I think small businesses need to look at before considering the jump from wherever you're operating at, whether it's e-commerce or whether you're operating remotely or whatever it is that you're doing, before you consider that a step of moving and going into a big mall or even just a mall for that matter, please look at the location, the region. Where is the mall situated that you want to go at? Because that's one thing that's going to really determine the success of your business or your shop at that particular mall. Find out within that region, what is the relationship between your product? Is this a high-end location, and your product, does it target high-end customers where people will be frequenting that kind of a mall, will relate to your product? It doesn't help if your target market is maybe the lower LSM and then now you want to take your business into a Sandton City or a Rosebank and all of that, right? There's a mismatch there. It's nice to say to your friends that, listen, I've got a shop at Sandton City. Come see us at our store. It sounds good to say, but to be honest with you, the rental rates at retail malls, it's crazy. It's really crazy. If you don't know, please research first and find out these kinds of things. Now, after finding out the region and the type of consumer that you're looking for, where that is situated. Also, another thing that you must really take care of and look at is the foot traffic in that particular mall. Get the numbers, contact the center management, find out what is the foot traffic within the mall, find out the different patterns in a month, in the beginning of the month, mid-month, at the end of the month, what is the foot traffic? And analyze that, right? And find out, okay, is this a mall that is in the rise or is this the mall that is in a decline? Because that's going to be very important. When your shop is there, if this mall is in a decline, that means that whatever it is that whenever you enter the mall, chances are the foot traffic is going to continue to go down. It's going to continue to go down. Then who are you going to sell to? If there's no people at the mall, people are not going to see your product. They're not going to be able to buy your product. So that's a indicator that you must look at. Another thing you must look at is the competition. If we are making shirts and we want to be stationed at a mall, I want to know how many other people are making shirts within that mall. Because if it's 10 of us, then that means that I've got competition. Whoever is looking for a shirt, they've got 10 options. And that's a big problem, because the more competition you have, then obviously there's a chance that you won't make as much sales. You won't attract as much customers. You'll have to constantly think about, discounts, specials, and so on. And that's not how you make money in a business. After you consider the competition, and just think about it. If you go to a nice mall, a good mall, just look at the food court, right? The competition is very tough there at the food court, because you are looking at proper restaurants, you're looking at franchises, you're looking at like serious competition. So consider those things. Who am I competing with? If I'm making burgers, hey, am I next to a Burger King here? Am I next to a McDonald's here? I'm competing with those guys. Another thing you need to consider before jumping into renting a space at a mall is the fittings, right? Because when you move in, they give you an empty space, and then you're going to have to put in capital to fit in the store, to put everything nicely as it is. That costs money. That's a huge capital outlay for some of the stores that you might be wanting to rent. So that capital, you must consider it, because that's cash flow. That's an investment. And also think about inventory as well, because you can't have a store and then it's empty, there's no stock. Those are some of the things that I think need to be considered quite carefully before you jump into renting any fancy spaces at malls, just for the sake of maybe a status or whatever, if the business is not ready. And of course, the numbers are everything. The numbers are what's gonna make this deal work or not work. Because if the rental rate is set at a certain amount, that's your fixed cost, that's your overhead. Every single month, you're gonna have to pay that amount. And for that matter, if your store is gonna use a lot of electricity, just bear in mind that there will be a variable cost for the electricity. So your fixed amount for the rent is there, but you might still be billed additional cost for utilities, the electricity. Well, we don't have a lot of load shedding anymore, but if load shedding does come back and now the generator has to be used, you may be billed for that as well. So the costing, the numbers is what's going to make this gig or break this gig. So be very, very obsessed about your numbers to say, what revenue are we making now? Can we make the rental payment and this overhead payment with ease? Can we make it with ease? Can our business make the necessary revenues for us to be able to sustain staying in such a space? Because you don't want to go into a mall and then 3 months, 6 months down the line, your shop is gone. You would have invested a lot of capital to set up the store and everything. By the time you go into the mall, please make sure that you have enough, you've researched enough, your business is actually ready for the move, because once you get in there, you make the investment, it's going to be very difficult to get out of it. So make sure that it's worth it, and make sure that you can get the return on that investment, and that it's actually where the business should be at that time. You don't want to do this prematurely, because you're going to set yourself back. You can kill your business. Literally, this move can kill your business, because these guys at malls, they don't play. Once you start owing the rent, they come after you. They don't play. And you can see the invoice starting to pile up, those monthly rentals. You're going to have to find a way to pay. And if the mall is not doing well, if your product is not doing well, your sales are not doing well, where are you going to get the money? You're going to have to be paying out of your own pocket, or you're going to have to find other ways to subsidize this rent. I mean, listen, there are malls that you can engage with them, and then they can try to help you as a small business, to give you some rebates and to help you out, promote your products, plug your posters maybe at the restrooms, to try and push you up so that you can improve on sales. But I mean, if it's not working, it's really going to be tough for you. If you went there prematurely, it's really going to be tough for you, and you will learn these lessons the hard way. So I think definitely your numbers are something that you're going to look at, because another thing you must know is that you need employees as well. That's another overhead. Your store, if it's going to be open 7 days a week, that means that you need people who are going to be taking shifts to come and open the store on time, to come and close the store on time. There's all of these things that you would have to think about before you make this big jump. And also when month end comes, you might need more staff to come. So staff costs money. That's salaries and wages. So you want to make sure that firstly, you can cover the overhead of the rent. This one, hey. And then secondly, the employees. You can cover that overhead of employees. There's a huge turnover in retail. There's a lot of a movement in retail. So be ready for all those kinds of things as well. There's a lot of movement in terms of staff. But if you're lucky, you could have a stable staff base. But obviously, you would have to make sure that you can cover the overhead. So your margin really has to be on point. That's my thing. My message is make sure that your numbers work. And now you just don't have a choice and you have to go to the mall. But you're making so much nice margins that it just makes sense. It just makes sense. And that move is going to push the business to the next level. Not that it's an ego thing wherein you are saying, I need to be at the mall. I saw this kind of kind of a shop at the mall. We have to be at the mall. The guys will let you in, but to get out, it's gonna be very, very difficult. Please share with me in the comments if you've ever had any experience with this. I'm sure with like other businesses as well, with office parks and all of that. I haven't had a lot of experience with that kind of a setup where in terms of rates and all of that at office parks, but I'm sharing the one that I have experience with working with small businesses in this area. And this is one of the challenges, one of the pain points for small businesses. The struggle is real at most, but there are those who are doing well, and we say kudos to them because they understood the numbers, and for them the move was just right. I'm saying if the move is not right, or if maybe something within your research just you didn't consider something and then you get there, you're already in, and then it can just blow up, and it can blow up your business. That's the unfortunate part. So please share with me in the comment section your experience with operating at malls, the rental rates, engaging with the landlords. Are they helpful? Are they helping you out? And you can see something within some of these malls. There's this kiosk, small little kiosk in the middle of the pathways and wherever. If you have experience on that, please share with us, share in the comments, and let's learn from each other. Thank you so much. See you in the next video.